If it's Monday or Wednesday night, then it must be California Haunts Radio Night. Please take this time to gather some popcorn, hamburgers, hot dogs, maybe even dinner or whatever snacks you eat, and have a sit down in front of the TV, the computer, or even your cell phone and enjoy the show. If it's Monday or Wednesday night, then it must be California Haunts Radio Night. Please take this time to gather some popcorn, hamburgers, hot dogs, maybe even dinner or whatever snacks you eat, and have a sit down in front of the TV, the computer, or even your cell phone and enjoy the show. If it's Monday or Wednesday night, then it must be California Haunts Radio Night. Please take this time to gather some popcorn, hamburgers, hot dogs, maybe even dinner or whatever snacks you eat, and have a sit down in front of the TV, the computer, or even your cell phone and enjoy the show. If it's Monday or Wednesday night, then it must be California Haunts Radio Night. Please take this time to gather some popcorn, hamburgers, hot dogs, maybe even dinner or whatever snacks you eat, and have a sit down in front of the TV, the computer, or even your cell phone and enjoy the show. If it's Monday or Wednesday night, then it must be California Haunts Radio Night. Please take this time to gather some popcorn, hamburgers, hot dogs, maybe even dinner or whatever snacks you eat, and have a sit down in front of the TV, the computer, or even your cell phone and enjoy the show. If it's Monday or Wednesday night, then it must be California Haunts Radio Night. Please take this time to gather some popcorn, hamburgers, hot dogs, maybe even dinner or whatever snacks you eat, and have a sit down in front of the TV, the computer, or even your cell phone and enjoy the show. If it's Monday or Wednesday night, then it must be California Haunts Radio Night. Please take this time to gather some popcorn, hamburgers, hot dogs, maybe even dinner or whatever snacks you eat, and have a sit down in front of the TV, the computer, or even your cell phone and enjoy the show. If it's Monday or Wednesday night, then it must be California Haunts Radio Night. Please take this time to gather some popcorn, hamburgers, hot dogs, maybe even dinner or whatever snacks you eat, and have a sit down in front of the TV, the computer, or even your cell phone and enjoy the show. If it's Monday or Wednesday night, then it must be California Haunts Radio Night. Please take this time to gather some popcorn, hamburgers, hot dogs, maybe even dinner or whatever snacks you eat, and have a sit down in front of the TV, the computer, or even your cell phone and enjoy the show. If it's Monday or Wednesday night, then it must be California Haunts Radio Night. Please take this time to gather some popcorn, hamburgers, hot dogs, maybe even dinner or whatever snacks you eat, and have a sit down in front of the TV, the computer, or even your cell phone and enjoy the show. If it's Monday or Wednesday night, then it must be California Haunts Radio Night. Please take this time to gather some popcorn, hamburgers, hot dogs, maybe even dinner or whatever snacks you eat, and have a sit down in front of the TV, the computer, or even your cell phone and enjoy the show. If it's Monday or Wednesday night, then it must be California Haunts Radio Night. Please take this time to gather some popcorn, hamburgers, hot dogs, maybe even dinner or whatever snacks you eat, and have a sit down in front of the TV, the computer, or even your cell phone and enjoy the show. If it's Monday or Wednesday night, then it must be California Haunts Radio Night. Please take this time to gather some popcorn, hamburgers, hot dogs, maybe even dinner or whatever snacks you eat, and have a sit down in front of the TV, the computer, or even your cell phone and enjoy the show. If it's Monday or Wednesday night, then it must be California Haunts Radio Night. Please take this time to gather some popcorn, hamburgers, hot dogs, maybe even dinner or whatever snacks you eat, and have a sit down in front of the TV, the computer, or even your cell phone and enjoy the show. If it's Monday or Wednesday night, then it must be California Haunts Radio Night. Please take this time to gather some popcorn, hamburgers, hot dogs, maybe even dinner or whatever snacks you eat, and have a sit down in front of the TV, the computer, or even your cell phone and enjoy the show. If it's Monday or Wednesday night, then it must be California Haunts Radio Night. Please take this time to gather some popcorn, hamburgers, hot dogs, maybe even dinner or whatever snacks you eat, and have a sit down in front of the TV, the computer, or even your cell phone and enjoy the show. If it's Monday or Wednesday night, then it must be California Haunts Radio Night. Please take this time to gather some popcorn, hamburgers, hot dogs, maybe even dinner or whatever snacks you eat, and have a sit down in front of the TV, the computer, or even your cell phone and enjoy the show. If it's Monday or Wednesday night, then it must be California Haunts Radio Night. Please take this time to gather some popcorn, hamburgers, hot dogs, maybe even dinner or whatever snacks you eat, and have a sit down in front of the TV, the computer, or even your cell phone and enjoy the show. Hey, welcome to tonight's show. I am excited. I can honestly be excited. I'm going to cut down some mic gain here a little bit. It's great to be here. It is at least a reasonably warm day, and we hit close to 90, but it's not miserably 90. Just a word of warning, probably on Thursday's show, because we're going to be on Thursday instead of Wednesday this week, I'm going to be running the air conditioner in the background because it's going to be 109, so I'm not going to be in here without AC. So you're probably going to hear that from the AC. Anyway, welcome tonight. Hopefully we won't have the internet problems we've been having. I did get the Wi-Fi extender, and I'm looking at it, and I can see that it is having issues, and I'm going to have to get a hold of Xfinity because I can see the fluctuations now. It'll go orange, it'll go green, it'll go orange, it'll go green, but hopefully the Wi-Fi extender is enough to keep the flow in here so we don't have those issues we had last time. Anyway, my name is Charlotte. I'm your host, the California Haunts Radio, and I also own and run the California Haunts Paranormal Investigation Team based out of Sacramento, www.californiahaunts.org. This website for this show is California Haunts Radio, www.californiahauntsradio.com. So that's kind of different. I have a different guest on today. I'm a royal watcher. Probably a lot of you are royal watchers. I'm a royal watcher, and she has done extensive, in fact, 10 years worth of research on Queen Victoria and Prince Albert. And this is what intrigued me about having her on. And she's written a book, and her book it's not about Queen Victoria and Prince Albert. It is about a couple in the Victorian era, and it's all based on her research. So it should be interesting to talk to her and see why she did this, how she did this, what her motivation was. I want to show you the t-shirt one more time. These are for sale. It's going to be up on the website tomorrow morning. They're $25. That includes shipping. California Haunts Radio t-shirt. See, I finally got a name right too. See? They're kind of cool. See that? And the front's like this on the pocket. $25. That includes shipping, and then I will get it out to you. And they come in various sizes all the way up to 4X, I think. So let me put this back in here. Go away, shirt. Anyway, so it's good to be here. I feel good, and I hope you're feeling good. I hope you all had a good day. So let's get on with our guest. I'm really excited to talk with Love and get to know her a little bit. Okay. Hello.
Hi.
How are you?
Good.
Tell me a little bit about yourself.
I've always been a researcher. When I was a child, I researched animals, biology, and stuff till I was 12. And then I had lots of pets. I had gerbils and hermit crabs and fish and chickens and guinea fowl. No dogs or cats or hamsters or stuff like that. But when I was 12, I had my chickens get attacked by some loose hunting dogs or something. And I just couldn't do the animals anymore after that. But I still liked to read the anthropomorphic stories. I read Redwall and stories like that.
Interesting.
And
What?
then
Go ahead.
got into the Victorian era stuff as a teenager. So
What interested you about the Victorian era?
I was reading like late Victorian boys' adventure stories when I was early teenager, the Rover Boys, but it was American, but like the end of the Victorian era time. And then my parents watched the Jane Eyre movie, and my mom read the book, and it was just, I got into that for a few months, and then read Charlotte Bronte's other book, one of her other books, Villette, that's more where you need to know her real life to understand the story, and got into that and read her letters and stuff. So read about the Brontes for 3 years, and then I read about the Great Exhibition, the first World's Fair in 1851 she went to, and also lectures by William Makepeace Thackeray and stuff. Queen Victoria's ladies were at those and at the exhibition. When I ran out of new information, I looked at that more, and I've been learning more since then.
Yeah. She had an interesting life. Yeah. With her, with her love of Prince Albert and everything, didn't she?
Yeah.
What made her life so interesting, where Prince Albert was concerned?
Yeah, he is an interesting character, just with the technology and stuff he was into, and the children's education, very different from a lot of wealthy families where he had the children, had them have their garden and farm and sell their produce to the household at market price, and had to learn all the real life stuff that the royals usually didn't.
Interesting. What was it like, the movies? I mean, there's movies about Queen Victoria and Prince Albert. What the information that you read? How well did they match with the movies, or did you see the movies?
The Young Victoria is pretty good, but and then the miniseries Victoria parts were good. Of the first season, the later ones were more fictionalized, and in both they have, in the Young Victoria movie, they have Albert be at Queen Victoria's coronation, which he wasn't, and in the miniseries they have Alexander II of Russia be at her coronation, which he came the year after her coronation. So I notice I do on the timelines a lot and stuff. So. But for a movie where you have to compress stuff into time. But
well, it's interesting to me because that's not something every kid gets interested in. And you were young when you got interested.
I was 18 when I started the royal research. I was 15 when I started the Charlotte Bronte stuff. So, yeah.
That just fascinates me. I know I was into, but that was in my 20s though, because I was going to Renaissance fairs and stuff. So that's how I got into, somewhat with the medieval and the Victorian era, the Dickens fairs and all that. But yeah, I never thought of researching it when I was younger. But I've done research on Queen Victoria, and I like when I wrote you, I told you that I had read Sarah Ferguson's books,
Yeah,
because she had done extensive research.
yeah, and she was involved in the Young Victoria movie.
Yeah, absolutely. So you wrote this book, but as I was trying to explain to everybody, it's not. I mean, it's about Queen Victoria. It's based on Queen Victoria, right? It's more that
It's
way for that
more
era.
about her daughter than about her. She and Albert are in it, but it's around her eldest daughter's story. I'm doing a 6-book series around Vicky. They called the daughter Vicky, and I'm planning to do a series around the Queen and Albert more also, but doing the Prussia, England, and Russia series under the Raven Courts umbrella series.
And that's what a lot of people don't realize with the royal family is that they're not just from England. They're well, Prince Philip's a great example of that. There's Greek, there's Russian relations
Yeah,
in that, right?
yeah. And Kaiser Wilhelm, the Kaiser of World War One, is Vicky's son, the Queen's eldest grandson. But my story is just looking into a different view of what I believe is the story of what leads up to World War One. But reading between the lines on just a different part of the story that I've found, and of the English and German rivalry and the, that. And
It's a
so
love
when I was, what?
it's a love story, right?
Yeah, yeah. Vicky and Fritz, Queen's daughter and her husband, are very much a love story. Yes. It's, yeah. And there's a few biographies of them, and there was another novel written about Vicky last year by Claire McHugh, A Most English Princess. But I read it and I liked it, but there were parts that are different from what I've researched, and it was part of what made me want to tell my story. So he's one of the people I dedicated my book to.
How hard was it to do the research?
It's fun. It's what I do. I live it.
I mean, did you do most? I guess you would have had to do all your research here in the U.S., right?
Yes, I've the I have access to the university library in Austin, Texas. I'm in Texas, but they have really good library, English and German stuff. And that's what I was gonna say. When I was 13, my family went to a high-level juggling event that had people from Europe and stuff, and a lot of the people were German, and it was when we were first on Facebook, and I wanted to be able to, we wanted to be able to understand what was said, and we took a part of the Pimsleur German course, but it's more tourist or business language, but got the foundation there, and then a few years ago, I was working on translating a book for a friend, but teaching myself German at the same time. I doing the Duolingo online course that's more reading and translating and stuff. So teaching myself German, so I'm translating the diary of Friedrich III, that's Vicky's husband. Is what I'm working on right now, but I'm getting a lot of different stuff from that and get a lot of different sources from that. My story. And none of the other books tell his side of the story as much. They mostly tell Vicky's side.
Interesting. So you say you decided to write 6 books out of this, right?
Yeah.
Cool. And how long does it take you to write the book?
I wrote my first one in 3 months. And I already had most of the information I needed for it. I'm still working on his diary. I've read the Queen and Vicky's letters. There's like 7 volumes of that I've read several times. I'm reading it for the 4th or 5th time now. So I have her side, plus the Queen's diary and lots of other things. Other memoirs and diaries and stuff, letters and stuff, but getting Fritz's side of the story more still. So.
You know what amazes me that the letters had lasted so long. Is this because of them being royal? Because they kept, people kept records of everything, or is it just a fate thing that they were still around?
Well, when Fritz dies, when Wilhelm becomes the Kaiser, the Emperor, they wanted to destroy the letters. They were always trying to. I don't have to say more about who they is, but they wanted to destroy the letters and defame Vicky and Fritz, and always accused her of being a traitor to Germany as the English woman and stuff. And it's the year after the Queen's Golden Jubilee, and when they're at the Jubilee, they brought over chests of their letters and stuff to keep secretly in Buckingham Palace. And
that's
when
really cool.
Their place is surrounded by soldiers and is searched and stuff, and they don't find anything because they've gotten it all out. But yeah.
That's really cool, though. It's really cool because now there's a record of it all, and then that's what's nice because you can see, what, insight into what they really like.
Yes. Bismarck, that was the German Chancellor, the young Chancellor, that's who was involved in the unification of Germany in that time, and that is always called the leader of the ones that are against Vicky and Fritz. But I've researched the older generation of the Prussian family. That Fritz's father, Wilhelm I, is the 3rd son in his family. Or the 2nd son, I mean.
Okay.
His older brother is King, whose name is also Fritz, when Vicky and Fritz get married. The 3rd son is Karl or Charles, who wanted to be king. And he's really behind a lot of the stuff that leads to World War I and that stuff against them. And he's the villain of my story.
You know what's funny is that you hear this, you sit here and listen to this about, him doing bad stuff to the family because he wants to be king. Then you got what's going on right now with Prince Harry just bailing because he doesn't want to be king. There's nothing to do with it, and he's bailed out of England. It's kind of funny when you hear it because back then.
Always the ones who did and didn't want. And that's part of the Raven Courts. That's my series, because the ones who did or didn't and
it's like back then it was a power thing, to get that power to be king, and now it's like they're in a fishbowl, and so he wants out. He's nothing to do with it. You can't blame him. You can't blame him. Hell, what happened when you were writing your book? Did you get a writer's block or anything while you were writing your book? Was there any time like that?
Not much, not really.
What would happen when you did have these moments when you couldn't write? How would you handle that?
There was one thing I did when, if I felt critical of my writing or something, I'd read it, but think it in like the voice of one of the audiobook readers I like,
Mm-hmm.
and it would just get it out of my head and help me get unstuck.
Yeah, writer's block's no fun. Let me ask you. Let's talk about your fan. You look pretty today. So you got the fan, you got the crown on. Tell me about that.
I was, a few months ago, I just finished my book in February. In March, I started to do talks with other authors about authors, biographers or novelists. I talked to the other woman I mentioned who wrote a book about Vicky last year.
Mm-hmm.
She was the first one I talked to, and talked to a couple other people too, and then started doing podcasts, getting on podcasts and stuff. So I had gotten a costume, gotten in costume for that, and this is actually a new
That's
costume.
really cool, though. That's really cool. I
Yeah.
like it. That's cool. That's really cool.
That's when I've got the top separate, so I
Yeah,
have two different looks. I have another top on, so I can wear with this one. The other one was a one-piece dress.
that's nice. I like it.
Yeah.
It fits very well with what you're talking about. Have you ever been Have you ever been to England?
No,
Do you want to go?
I'd like to go to the archives and museums of the palaces and stuff.
I've been. It's pretty cool. It's pretty awesome, especially when they do
I
the.
have actually bought a little bit of stuff from one of the archives and transcribed the handwritten letters myself
Nice,
from the Mountbatten archive. That's Mountbatten, that's the family Philip is. Blackburn's
nice,
the royal family.
nice. Well, maybe if your books do well, you'll get to go over there because there's nothing like watching the changing of the guards and signing the guest book at Buckingham Palace, and going in to see the different wedding dresses and all that stuff. It's really cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Victoria Milford Haven, that's Queen Victoria's granddaughter and Philip's grandmother.
Mm-hmm.
Her letters were what I bought, but there's a book, Advice to My Granddaughter, that's Queen Victoria's letters to her, but I got her side of the letters from the archives and transcribed them myself. So typed them all
Nice.
to have for myself. Yeah, I do things. I do the research with my mom a lot, just read the letters and diaries and stuff aloud to her and stuff, and like assemble my own books of letters for that, like take all the different books of letters from a particular family and put it together chronologically to put stuff into a bigger picture. I've done that with a couple different branches of the family.
Nice. How did your mom or your family feel about you taking all this on? Okay.
Some
Okay.
ways, I don't know what I do. My mom and I do it together the most, but she's the who does most the most compared to me, but everybody.
I gotcha.
I
I
paid
bet
my
your
brother to proofread my book and stuff like that.
I bet she's really proud of you now because you got the first book done, huh?
Yeah, I have it just available as ebook so
Okay.
far, PDF ebook so far, but have my website, therivalcourt.com.
Cool. Yeah, I was kind of looking at it. I was looking at it the other day. I can't wait to read it, actually. I'm going to be downloading it soon to read it. That's pretty awesome.
Eh,
It's pretty awesome that you did that.
Just gotten a few sales so far, but I've been working on. I should be getting some reviews on blogs and stuff in the next few months too, and today is the 151st birthday of one of Vicky and Fritz's daughters, who became the Queen of Greece.
Mm-hmm.
So, the Greek connection. But it's interesting because it's Vicky's daughter marries her nephew-in-law because her brother marries into the Danish family, and it's the brother's wife's nephew.
That's the other thing too with them.
Wife's nephew who marries her daughter, so yeah.
That's the other thing with them too, is they're all intermarried. You know? They marry cousins to keep the bloodline strong. This is absolutely fascinating for me. I just like I said when I initially wrote you, how fascinated I am with that time period, and well, the royals anyway, but that time period in particular, because there's so many cool stories about it. You know.
Yeah. I've read about so many. I started with, I said I did the Bronte stuff and then just looked up what I read about there, the Great Exhibition. That's where Vicky and Fritz meet when she's just 10, and she's his guide at the exhibition when she's 10.
Wow.
And my parents had watched the Mrs. Brown movie, so my mom asked about what was the truth of the story about the Queen and John Brown, and so that was my first thing I researched, besides just learning who all the family were, reading about Balmoral and Osborne and the palaces and stuff, and then I was looking up, I read about 9 months and was looking up who all the children married more specifically. I'd been reading the first third of lots of Greek biographies of the family just to get an idea of who people were, but it would be overload when I got to the grandchildren and how it spread out. So just read the first third of lots of them at first. And so.
Yeah, I can imagine. Let me ask you about the books, because I know, like you said, some of them were written here in the U.S., but what about the ones that were written in English? Did you have trouble? Because I know, like, you know, when you read, like, Shakespeare, when anybody reads Shakespeare, it's kind of hard to figure out what some of the words meant, because, you know, they meant different things than they do now, essentially. So did you have a lot of trouble with that, as far as, you know, reading the old proper English?
I use that language more. I'm more in tune with that than the modern language a lot of the
time. Right. Is there anything else you'd like to add about your book?
Yeah, it is a romance story, but it has lots of layers, and it has a lot of stuff that's reading between the lines compared to how the story is usually told, and bringing out different stories that I haven't read all the letters, because the books of letters are selections, but I don't know what's actually there always, but reading between the lines what I get out of it, and writing my version of the story.
See, that's what's intriguing me about this whole thing, is that, you know, you did all that research, read all those books, and you were able to write this thing without really stepping on, I hate to say stepping on people's toes, but plagiarizing and whatnot with it. You were, like you say, reading between the lines.
Yeah.
How did
Writing
you?
it,
Yeah.
so it's writing it as a story, as fiction, so I don't have to write a biography and get all the permissions and stuff. And my dialogue is inspired by written conversation recorded in letters and diaries, or just like things like it describes a conversation, what was talked about and stuff in a letter to somebody else, and I take that and put it into the actual conversation they're talking about. Like Vicky writing to the Queen about conversation between her and Fritz, and I take it and make it the actual conversation, stuff like that. Just transpose it into the story instead
That's
of
cool
the
though.
stuff.
That's really cool though. That's a
And
talent. See.
some parts are like a whole scene is more described in the diary or something, and I just rewrite it, but then there's some parts where I just have one or two sentences that I make a whole scene out of. It's fun.
I bet it is. So where did you? I mean, and to be a wordsmith like that takes a lot. So how long did it take you to really put the stuff down? I mean, like you say, it took what? What'd you say?
I wrote my first book in 3 months. Started
Okay.
on November 1st and finished on February 3rd, besides just editing a
Wow.
little bit.
Was that
So
constant writing, or did you take breaks, or how'd that work?
I wrote maybe 4 or 5 days out of the week mostly. So wrote at night a lot when everybody else was in bed.
That is really cool. Did you let your mom or anybody read it as you were writing it to get their opinion?
I said I'd had my brother proofread it, who's really quiet and doesn't talk about stuff to the rest of the family much, so I didn't proofread it where I wouldn't share it with anybody before it was ready. And also one of my cousins, who isn't one I know super well, I know her more online now than I did before, but she had said she was starting to write a book and asked me to read it and read what she'd written and give my feedback right before I started writing, so I did the same with her, and she was the other beta reader. So somebody who didn't know any of the historical stories, so give her perspective of just as a story. So those
Right.
were all.
Do
And
you
I
think? Go ahead.
shared it with a few other authors and researchers, giving them a free copy as a get reviews from other researchers and stuff also.
Do you think that this book that women might enjoy it more than men, because it is kind of a love story, right?
I don't know. I've had, let me think. So, yeah. One man has bought it out of the 7 people who've bought it, and two other people I gave a free copy. But I don't know.
Okay.
There's a lot of men in the RAM research groups I'm in that are into that part.
Can I ask you, how old are you?
26.
Okay. Well, you're still a baby. You got a long ways to go. See, I've got 2 books I'm writing, and I've been writing them for years because I get distracted and get into other projects and stuff, and then I don't do it. And I have to go. Then I have to sit there and go back in and figure out where I was and get in the right mindset to do it.
I have on my book covers for my first series, The Suppression, Vicky and Fritz's story. Made, I haven't shared them yet, but I do have a Facebook group Facebook page that's Rail History, and a private group also, the Rifle Courts. So.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
A page I created a couple years ago and just shared pictures occasionally and didn't really do much with it. But it's collected like 2,700 people. So I use it now for my book stuff and have a private group that I'm inviting on the people who are my readers.
That's cool. You're getting a following too, obviously.
And I'm starting to work on YouTube and Twitter and Pinterest and stuff too. Planning to do the bookshelf tours. I've noticed I've been looking at book review blogs to submit to and came across people who were doing a bookshelf tour and saw that as something that gets lots of views and working on getting that done for YouTube where I can talk about like the ones I have, books I have about the different families, the Prussian, the Hessian, the Battenberg, the Russian, the Queen Victoria's family in general, just different. Make it so I can have 10 different videos for that.
What is something, in doing your research, did you find out about anything about a Queen Victoria that you didn't know? Was there something that stood out?
When I first started, I didn't know that Kaiser Wilhelm was her grandson. So that was a surprise at first, and just a lot.
Interesting. Very interesting. What about Prince Albert? Tell me about Prince Albert and what, if you found out anything that you didn't know about him.
He's interesting. And then reading his letters is very interesting because he's always talked about as being very shy and stuff, plus also into all the technical stuff. But reading his letters to the Queen, they are very romantic letters and stuff, so he's very multi-sided.
That's really cool. That is really cool. I'll have to, you know what, I want to read your book and I want to do some extra research on some other stuff. You inspire me. And you inspire me to get back to working on my own books. You really do.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
Doing the 6-book series about Vicky and Fritz, and then planning when with the Queen and Albert as the central story with the older generation in England, the previous George IV and William IV that were brothers, and all of those brothers as the background story, like I'm doing in Prussia. The older generation as the background story. And then also I want to do a series with Russia also, and it all ties into the same Raven Courts theme with the ones that wanted to be the king and king or emperor or whatever stuff. And it's all the same families interconnected, but.
Do you have any appearances on any other talk shows or anything coming up?
Yes, I have
Let's hear it.
on the author's porch on the 29th, which is the 220th birthday of Prince Charles of Prussia, that I said is the villain of my story, and also the wedding day of Charlotte Bronte. So, 2 anniversaries in my research. And that's another thing. Charlotte Bronte and Queen Elizabeth have the same birthday.
Wow. I didn't know that. Wow. Awesome. 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 Well, I want to thank you for coming on. I really appreciate you coming.
Yeah.
And I'm going to read your book, definitely read it and stuff. And thank you again, okay?
Yeah, thank you.
You did great. You did great. Can you tell everybody your website again?
My website is therivalcourts.com, and my Facebook page is Royal History. And I go by Lovey on Facebook. Lovey
Okay.
Lubricator. Maybe why.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. I had a great time, and when you get your other books written, we'll get you back on again, okay?
Okay. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm working on my second book. So.
Okay. You have a good one.
Yeah, you too.
All right. Bye bye. Okay, that was really interesting to learn a little bit about the history of Queen Victoria and Prince Albert. Very, very interesting. And we'll have to get her on when she gets the other books written. I know I couldn't have done all that research. You know what? I'm a bad person. I hate doing research. That's one thing. I mean, I love history. Don't get me wrong, but doing extensive research like that for like 10 years, maybe if I'm inspired to do it. Anyway, that was terrific. If anybody has any questions, that's great. I can forward some over to her. Um, I want to let everybody know that there's a lot going on now that COVID is done. Let me get the mic up here so I can hear myself. I like to hear myself talk, right? Like you guys didn't know that. Now that we're out of COVID hibernation, is that we're going to be doing some ghost hunts and hopefully some live stuff, Facebook Live. We're going to be doing some of the. I'm gonna let the cat out of the bag a little bit. We're going to be going back to some of the bigger hotels that we've done in the past. I'm not going to say which ones, but there's plans for one in particular that we're going to be revisiting to go in, and it's kind of nice because we kind of have a different team going in this time, and so it's kind of cool to um, have different minds, different mediums and psychics going into these places. So we're going to be doing that, and it's going to be fun. So that's coming up probably within not this month, but maybe next month. The more the restrictions come off and stuff, and people get their vaccinations and whatnot. Again, we have the Patreon. I haven't really launched that as much as I'd like to have launched it, but I did launch it. And I'm going to be adding some more stuff in there. In fact, we're looking at not only the T-shirts, I'm looking at red California Haunt sunglasses you guys can wear too, which would be kind of fun. So we'll see if I can get that swinging and going. You see that thing running below, the donate to PayPal me at California Haunts? That's how I support all this. Everything comes out of pocket. And obviously, we didn't lose our internet tonight, so that was good. So this thing did help. So I was watching the light turn to orange and from green to orange. It kind of made me nervous. But we didn't have anything disappear on us or anybody talking like in triple talk or anything like that tonight. So we got through that. But $5, $10, everything helps. In fact, I want to thank Monica Funk from last week because she's the one that paid for half of the internet extender, the Wi-Fi extender that I ended up buying for tonight. And as you can see, I did a little bit different with the background too. If anybody ever wonders, I had this Yoda Lego that somebody got me, and then somebody else got me the same Lego kit, and so I built the original one. I was going to sell this one, but I'm glad I didn't because when I set the studio up, I had set it up so that the computer was way low on the table, even when I was on the lowest setting in my chair. So I had to lean over, which, as you know, because I have a bad back, it was really horrible for my back. So I was able to stick it on the unopened Lego, and it everything fits perfectly. And you can see I did, I'm up higher and all that stuff. I still got a WD-40 in my chair. I'm headed to Home Depot tomorrow for WD-40. But that's the main update about the Patreon and what we're doing. And we're going to start, now that I have the open studio next door again, we're going to start filming each individual team member so you guys can get to know them, and then you're going to see them around Facebook, so you're going to know everybody by name. Yes, Jerry, that's you too, buddy. Jerry Edwards is in the room. Jerry Edwards in the house. And so we're going to be doing that as well to start getting everything rolling again with the California Haunts Paranormal Investigation team. But we are going to be doing some live investigations, and I don't know, we may StreamYard them out. I don't know how I'm going to do it yet. It may just be audio things that we do, like a blog talk thing, and just get blog talk back and then do them audio like we used to. I don't know how we're going to figure that out yet. Get the logistics going on it yet. So we've got a lot coming up and a lot going on. And she inspired me to finish my book and my ghost hunting book, and I have it half written, and I think I'm gonna get off my duff and do that too finally, and keep that going. But tonight was a fun night. It was a great show, and I'm hot in here. This room did get hot for me. It's the lights, because I got different kind of lights. But I'm glad everybody came tonight. Again, if you guys want to order a T-shirt, they will be available starting tomorrow morning on the www.californiahauntsradio.com website. And you guys can do that. And all those proceeds from those shirts do go back into California Haunts, either the radio show or the group itself to buy, to purchase equipment and get the stuff we need. But anyway, I'm going to say goodnight tonight. I'm not feeling that well tonight. I'm kind of under the weather. And hopefully, like I said, Thursday I will be back in here. That's the next show, and it's going to be a Hypnotist to the Stars. That's going to be on. So hopefully you won't get too annoyed, because I'm going to have all the dogs in here. And usually when the old dog is in here, even when she was young, she's like a terrible 2. And so it's going to be an interesting night to see if she pulls down the backdrop and whatever else she happens to do to torture me. No, not torture me, but it's just the way she is. Cables, nothing's safe in this house. So it's going to be interesting to have them in here, but I don't want them out there because there's no AC out there right now. So this is the room that has all the AC, so they're going to be in here on Thursday with me. Again, thank you for watching, and I appreciate it. And do go over to YouTube and become a subscriber for us on YouTube. We have 34 subscribers. We're trying to build that up. And again, I thank you. And you guys have a good night. As I move my banners.